Imagine for a moment that everything you've learned about who's in charge, who has power, and who dominates is reversed, or at least far more complex than you've been told. Imagine that we are not living in a classic patriarchal system, where men rule and women obey, but rather something different operates in the shadows. That the true power, the system that organizes rules, encourages certain behaviors, and maintains structures of control, may have a female face, or at least a brain that operates with a feminine, maternal logic, valuing dominance through subtlety, dependency, guilt, social networks, and subjectivity. And that this matriarchal system is so well integrated into society that it remains invisible, accepted, and normalized. From childhood, we are taught that patriarchy is a system in which men hold political, economic, and social power, and women are subordinate. This view has deep roots in feminist studies, anthropology, and philosophers who analyzed male domination. Patriarchy has become the paradigm for explaining inequality, abuse, and hegemony. And of course, this narrative works because it provides a clear explanation for what many experience as oppression. But what if this explanation is incomplete? What if some mechanisms of domination are not clearly masculine, but operate through networks of emotional dependency, social approval, guilt, regulation of sexuality, intimacy, and status, mechanisms that do not rely on physical strength or male visibility? It's important to clarify terms first. Matriarchy refers to a form of social organization where women, particularly mothers, hold a dominant position in the family, community, or transmission of power. Yet most anthropological research concludes that truly matriarchal societies, where female dominance explicitly replaces male dominance, are rare or non-existent. Still, some theories suggest that before the patriarchal hegemony, there was a matristic or less hierarchical phase, more focused on collaboration, inclusion, and values that were not dominance competitive. The hypothesis we propose is that even if there is no pure matriarchy in the classical sense, the power system we today call patriarchal may have been transformed or infiltrated by a matriarchal logic. That is, dominance no longer necessarily manifests through visible masculinity, but through control patterns with a feminine profile, emotional control, networks of dependency, moral responsibility, guilt, and inverted care, metamorphosed into power. If we accept the hypothesis that we live under a matriarchal logic, what would this imply? Power would no longer manifest solely through force or formal authority, but through the regulation of emotions, intimate relationships, guilt, and emotional dependency. The mother woman not necessarily as a single figure, but as a principle, to whom care is given, from whom gratitude is expected, who regulates domestic order, who defines what is appropriate or wrong. The system demands obedience not so much to the visible father, but to the combined gaze of the community, the mother or the figure assuming moral responsibility, which creates a culture of conformity, self-censorship, and internalized guilt. Instead of the man rules, the logic would be, who controls who cares, who imposes the duty of care, and this who may symbolically assume a female or maternal figure. This logic encourages behaviors like victimization, dependency, emotional repair, and guilt help loops. It amounts to a less visible, more intimate control that operates within the family, work relationships, and social networks, and resistance is less about direct confrontation and more about silent transgression. For the system we are analyzing, the narrative that oppressive male patriarchy is the great evil works very well. Why? First, it provides a clear enemy, men or male figures. This creates easy identity, mobilization, victim-savior dynamics. Second, it diverts attention from subtler control mechanisms. If you think the evil is out there in the man who oppresses, you might not see that power is here, within your relationships, your duties, your guilt. Third, it sustains the emotional market structure. Therapy, empowerment courses, relationship advice, dependence on external validation, which generates profit and dependency. Fourth, the narrative assigns blame to the visible oppressor, preventing questioning of one's own role as part of the machinery. Who fuels the system? Who consents? Who internalizes the rules? Thus, this narrative pattern functions as a distraction. While patriarchy versus matriarchy is debated, the logic of control remains intact, adapting, conquering new forms, and avoiding deep questioning. Let's bring this into everyday life. In the family environment, you might think the man rules because he pays the bills or is the head of the household. But who regulates the children's schedules? Who decides what is emotionally normal or unacceptable? Who assigns blame, demands care, assumes moral responsibility? This role often falls to the mother or a maternal figure, and this power is less visible as authority, but very potent in regulating effective life. In the workplace, the visible boss may be male, but who regulates networks of influence, decides who plays along or is left out, who holds the power of social approval? This can operate under a care or dependency logic, i.e., invisible feminine power. On social media and in the self-care culture, the power to define what is acceptable, what is guilt, what is the obligation to take care of oneself, is immense. And this power is exercised not through force, but through appeals to responsibility, vulnerability and emotional dependency, patterns aligned with feminine maternal logic. These mechanisms escape traditional evaluation of who rules and who obeys, because authority has already been internalized. You self-regulate, self-blame, seek approval. If your hypothesis is valid, awakening is not only about freeing yourself from the man who oppresses, but freeing yourself from the logic of emotional regulation, guilt, dependency, victim-savior narratives, and relentless care expectations. Here are some provocative steps to apply and reflect on. 1. Observe your relationships. Who assumes the role of caretaker? Who regulates expectations? Who imposes guilt or feels overly responsible? 2. Question invisible authority. It may not be the boss or the father. It may be the mother, the figure who expects you to care, give too much, or be always available. 3. Redefine power, not as being in charge, but as having autonomy over yourself. Who defines your internal rules? Is it you or the system you've internalized? 4. Break the comfortable narrative. If you believe evil is out there, stop and look inward. If you are using a victim narrative to remain dependent, question yourself. 5. Practice conscious discomfort. Invisible power persists because it is accepted and normalized. Question patterns, question who cares too much, who assumes too much. Free yourself from this cycle. Of course, this hypothesis does not eliminate the existence of real forms of oppression, violence, or institutional inequality. What we propose here is another level of perspective, not to deny but to expand. Some critics argue that the idea of a matriarchal system sounds like a simplistic inversion of domination. Replacing one oppressor with another does not solve anything. And that is valid. The hypothesis here is not, let's replace patriarchy with matriarchy, but to recognize that the system changes its face, that the logic of power adapts. Moreover, care must be taken not to reinforce stereotypes of female marred victim and male marred oppressor. This only swaps roles and maintains the structure. The goal is liberation, not hierarchy inversion. Finally, each cultural, historical, and social context has its variables. The interpretation of matriarchal or patriarchal can differ greatly. The idea here is to provoke reflection, not impose dogma. In the end, the question remains, who truly holds power today, visible or invisible? When you look at your relationships, obligations, guilt, and dependencies, are you part of a system that seems normal, or are you reproducing a control mechanism? If we live in a system that self-sustains not through visible force, but through emotional dependency, guilt, and the duty to care, then liberation is not just about who rules, but about learning to reclaim autonomy, dissolve dependency networks, and assume responsibility for yourself, without expecting the other to change. At the Get Off the Matrix channel, we want you to realize that the strongest chains are not always the ones you see. Often, they are the ones you carry on your shoulders without noticing. Questioning the current matriarchy is important, but perhaps the leap is also in questioning who makes you feel vulnerable, who makes you feel obligated to care, who makes you assume guilt. True revolution does not begin with who rules out there, but with who rules in here. Awaken, rewrite your power, break the narrative, and escape the matrix. Did you like the video? Then subscribe to the channel